Hello and welcome to Sarcastic Reviews. For more reviews, you can go to www.sarcasticreviews.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, the puppy in the picture is Vader. He's half husky, half lab, all mine. So let's get right down to it. Today's movie is Logan. Just released in theaters March 3rd. And, well, to put it bluntly, it's a good movie. One of the big selling points of this movie is the R rating, and they definitely use it to their advantage. They use it to the audience's approval, that's for sure. Now, if you've seen the Red Band trailer, you'll see the part where Patrick Stewart swears a bit, and you might think that might be just put in there for shock value, but in actuality, there's swearing throughout by Patrick Stewart. He's kind of a potty mouth. And also Logan and other characters throughout the movie. One thing to point out, if you're looking for big set pieces like the overblown CGI or the big explosions, there's not that much to this there as far as action goes. It's more grounded action, fights, action, lots of slicing and dicing with the claws. They really bring out the violence. Something, again, if you've seen the Red Band trailer, you've seen some of the violence, but it's just a small sample of what's actually in the movie. It does get violent, it does get graphic, and it does get good. Another thing to point out is if you're looking for cameos, there aren't any. I mean, you know the main characters. There's the Logan, there's Patrick Stewart as Dr. Xavier, there's Caliban, but as far as any previously known mutants, that's it. There's no flashbacks to explain why there are no more mutants. There's no flashbacks to stories they talk about. They just talk about them, and they really don't go into detail. Patrick Stewart, is he suffering from something? They don't go into detail. They just say he's suffering from something that's causing his brain to degenerate. And because of that, he has seizures that are very dangerous to everybody around him. And he talks about something that happened in another town in the past. People died, mutants died, but there are no details. They never share it. They never flash back to it to show us what happens. It's just a story from his past that tells us a bit about why they are doing what they're doing now, which is hiding. Same with Logan. At this point, he is suffering from something. Again, they don't go into detail. He believes that it's the adamantium inside him basically poison him, like lead poisoning. But he can't say for sure. It's just an assumption he has. And because of that, his healing power is affected. You see it in the movies. He's very slow to heal. He has to strain to actually heal. His claws come out almost sometimes part way. They don't even come out all the way. So he's very affected by this. You can see he's got scars. He doesn't heal fast. He's slower. He's got some kind of permanent limp, which again, they never explain how he got that. He just has it, which I like. I like the appeal of that. Not having to explain everything, not having to flash back to all these previous moments or, last week on X-Men kind of deals where they show you what happened before. But one of the issues I have is the timeline, because a lot of people saw Days of Future Past and they went back. Logan went back and fixed the timeline to save all the mutants. He went back from a much further point in the future. Like, this movie takes place in 2029, but the other one, I don't know exactly what the timeline was, but it was much further in the future. So he went back from a point where there were a lot more mutants, and he went back, fixed the timeline, and now with Logan, in 2029, suddenly they're talking about how there are no more mutants. So it seems like him going back actually made things worse, which to me really takes a lot away from Days of Future Past, which was a good movie. But if you're just going to erase timelines so easily with new movies, it's hard to invest in characters. It's hard to invest in a franchise when you're constantly rewriting or overwriting what you've already done. So to talk about this movie specifically, for one, another thing to point out is actually there is no end credits sequence. I stuck around right until the very end to see something because I, at this point, expect a Marvel movie to have it. The others have, or even Origins and Wolverine had them. But there was no end credit sequence. There was no sequel baiting. They ended it, and it was the end. There is no reason to hope that this character or these characters are going to continue on throughout the franchise. It does seem like a final movie for at least this set of characters. Now, the main plot of the movie is that Wolverine, or Logan, they're older. He's a limousine driver, and it's at the point where you've seen in the trailer again. They made comic books out of them. They made figurines out of these X-Men characters to celebrate them. Logan, of course, doesn't want that kind of fame, but he is famous. There are people who recognize him and actually post his location. They're saying like Wolverine sightings, and recognize not only him but his method of dealing with people with the claws and the violence. So somebody recognizes him. They want him to help out the little girl. And again, you've seen that in the trailer. The X-23 is what she is, which is an experiment made from mutant blood, and in Mexico, with Mexican women giving birth to these children who are essentially experiments. And they escape, and they want Logan's help. And of course, he doesn't want to get involved. It's pretty typical, like that, as far as that motivation goes. That's kind of his shtick. He always wants to avoid getting involved, but then does. So they don't really, there's nothing original there. He's going to get involved. So dealing with all that, oh no, I don't want to do this, I'm not going to do this kind of thing, it just seems like a waste of everyone's time at this point. And Patrick Stewart, of course, Dr. Xavier, wants to get involved, so they do. And so they go on a road trip, basically. It's kind of a road trip movie with action sequences in between. And they are good action sequences. There's lots of violence. The girl gets involved right from the beginning. She's the X-23. She's got almost the same abilities that Logan does, the healing and the claws, although she does have some originality to hers as far as the claws and extra claws, and she does have some skill. Patrick Stewart, because of the dementia or whatever it is he has seizures that harm people. So they have to keep him medicated as they go along on this road trip. And it's good. Like they have a moment with a family with the father played by Eric LaSalle from ER, and it's a really humanizing moment where they're kind of joking around, like Xavier and Logan talking about how they used to be in school and how he was not the most ideal pupil. In the first half of the movie, the bad guys are essentially soldiers. They're enhanced soldiers. They have parts that are automated, like they're robotic parts. The main one is Pierce, played by Boyd Holbrook, and he is a good villain. Again, it's a scene you seen in the trailer where he's afraid of this little girl, and it really shows. Like he knows what she can do, and that really builds a lot of tension when she first shows up and starts getting involved and is actually going to defend herself against these soldiers instead of going along quietly. You do feel the tension building as she walks closer, and he's trying to get her to calm down and just give up, and when she doesn't, he knows there's going to be trouble. It's a good scene. There's some further on in the movie that are good, but overall the bad guy is a little dull. There's not a lot of originality to him. He does have a few good scenes with Logan, but not a lot. He's not a overly interesting bad guy, and they kind of split it. The first half is this Pierce guy, and then the second half there's a doctor that shows up, Dr. Rice, and he's the one who basically ran the experiment, and he also has a new experiment that he's going to be using to try and capture this girl again, which I'm not going to go into because there's a lot of spoilers involved in that. But it's a good moment in the movie, in the later half of the movie, but I think splitting the bad guys like that kind of made them both a little less fleshed out, which would have been nice if you had a really good, detailed, in-depth bad guy for the last Logan movie. And yeah, there's really not that much more to it. It's a road trip movie. They go along, they have separate action sequences throughout. Again, it's not the big CGI explosion fest action sequences. These are what you see in the trailer with the fighting on the ground with the knives and the guns, and they're really good. They're good scenes. There's good action. There's not a lot of comedy. It's mostly dramedy, if there is any comedy, if there are any laughs. It's along those lines. It's little things like Patrick Stewart swearing, or Logan reacting to the comic books, or a little kid with a Wolverine doll, and not based on the X-Men movies, but the yellow spandex Wolverine doll was kind of cute. The girl does a good job. Not great. It seems like at points that they're trying to make her cute, but she's a little too mature to come off as cute. She does a good job playing essentially, she seems to be a teenager. They don't really go into her age, but she's not an angsty teenager. She's just trying to figure out what's going on in the world and wanting to help escape, and also her other mutant friends. That's the road trip, is they want to go and meet with the other kids that escaped and see if they can get to safety all together. So overall, I mean, if you like the Wolverine character, you're gonna like this movie. He is the central character. Definitely better than Origins. Slightly better than Wolverine. Although, well, I would say more than slightly better than Wolverine. The action, the R rating is great for a Wolverine character. I mean, you're gonna run around with knives. You gotta show some blood, because that's exactly what the result is of using those knives. And it's violent. Like, not just people getting stabbed, but people having parts ripped off, sliced off, and it does get graphic, which I like for an R-rated movie, but if you're looking for a Deadpool, it does not have the humor of Deadpool, that's for sure. It is good. It was a good send-off for both the Logan character and the Dr. Xavier character in one last movie. I would say an 8 out of 10. It probably could have been a 9 with a better villain and a little more humor, a little more bonding between Wolverine and the girl, the X-23. But other than that, it's definitely a watchable movie. It's definitely worth going to in theaters. Don't hang around for an after credit sequence, because you'll just be wasting your time. And don't go looking for cameos or flashbacks to showing you how all the mutants got wiped out or anything like that. It's just about Logan and Dr. X. So that's it for me. If you want to see more reviews, go to www.sarcastedreviews.com. Thank you.